So how is this implemented on that hexagonal topology that I showed you before? So since there were 7 cabs and each cab has 7 transconductance elements or settings, one particle is just a 7 by 7 matrix of these transconductance settings that instantiate filters on this topology. So each transconductance value can only take on integer values 1 through 6 or -1 through 6. So and then if it's 0, then that means that particular connection is turned off on the topology. And we can observe whatever the filter behavior is by looking at input-output route, which means you may look at input 1 and then look at output 4 and then input 1, output 5, input 1, output 6, and we can look at all these and we can create a lot of filters this way just on this one topology because it has a lot of input-output routes where you could implement these filters. Now, what I did was I randomly instantiated a bunch of these particles, just made them random transconductance elements, and then I had a goal filter where I knew what the elements were and what the root was and what the filter response, frequency response was supposed to look like. So what I did was I just used the mean squared error to compare whatever root I was looking at to the goal filter. And then I used the mean squared error to try and, that was the fitness function, I tried to minimize the mean squared error. So what I did was first I just used regular normal PSO, and as you can see, this is just a second order low pass filter. And as you can see, the PSO does a pretty good job in forming the general shape of the low pass filter, but the gain is way below what the goal filter is, which you can see here in blue. Now, if this were to actually be implemented, the PSO, it would just, everything would just be filtered out as noise because the gain's not high enough. However, with PSOQI, it's much closer to the goal filter. I still wouldn't call it a complete success because it starts to tail off too early. So the cutoff frequency is actually a little sooner than for the goal filter, but it still does a pretty good job. And this is for a second order low pass. Now I also put in for a lossy integrator, which is basically just a first order low pass filter. And as you can see here, here's the goal again, and here's the standard PSO algorithm that I used. And this time, both the PSO and the PSOQI, they came pretty close to the gain of the goal filter. However, and they both have very flat pass bands, but they both have very flat pass bands, you can see here. However, they both have the spike at where the cutoff frequency should be, and this is also very undesirable because in the goal filter where these frequencies would be starting to get filtered out, in the PSO and PSOQI filters, this spike actually amplifies these frequencies even more so than your actual signal you want to keep. So this is not a very good result either. However, I also ran a fourth order bandpass filter, and as you can see, again, PSO performs alright, not very well, but this time PSOQI pretty much gets it right on the money. It has the same center frequency, they both roll off at approximately the same rate, and they have almost exactly the same gain. So I would say PSOQI was successful on this one on recreating the goal filter, whereas PSO failed. So what can we conclude from this? Well, I found that when I was trying to run my PSOQI algorithm with just 20 particles and 50 iterations, it was taking up to 10 hours to run. So I couldn't exactly refine the PSOQI algorithm as much as I wanted to really get it to work perfectly. But I do think these results at least show that PSOQI has promise in being able to create goal filters from just randomly instantiated filters. Especially on that bandpass, I think it definitely shows that the bandpass, at least it got that one right. So it is possible to create these filters. What could definitely help is if we took transconductance elements, parameters that we already knew from known filters, and then we put those started those off as the particles first, and then any slight variations in, say, like the temperature or maybe a slight hardware malfunction that would change the behavior of the filter a little bit, well then the PSO starting from that already known filter could bring that back to what it's supposed to be, whatever the very small variation is. I think a little bias would also help in PSOQI. But although I didn't get all the results exactly that I wanted, I do believe the PSOQI has a lot of promise, and it should be considered in future work to see if it truly is as good as other techniques such as GA or GP, which have been proven to be very successful in creating these filters. Thank you.